Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cambridge Girl. In today's video, I'll be going through the Cambridge Lower Secondary Stage 9 End of Unit Test 5 and explaining the solution step by step. If you are preparing for Cambridge Lower Secondary exams, this video will help you understand the correct methods and avoid common mistakes. So let's start solving the questions and look at the complete solutions together. Let's begin with question number 1. So this question is asking, show why the sum of the interior angles of any hexagon must be 720 degrees. So we know that hexagon has 6 sides, right? And we also know the formula to calculate the sum of interior angles, which is n minus 2 into 180. Now we know that n is actually the number of sides, and for hexagon the number of sides is 6. So 6 minus 2 into 180. So that is actually 4 into 180, which is 720 degrees. So what you have to do in order to gain the 2 marks is that first you are going to mention n minus 2 into 180, that is for 1 mark, and then you are going to substitute the value, which is 6 minus 2 into 180, and finally you have to solve that 4 into 180 is 720 degrees, and then you will be awarded 2 marks. Okay, now the second question is that work out the sum of interior angles of a regular octagon. Octagon has 8 sides, so the same thing goes here as well, which is 8 minus 2 into 180. So this is 6 into 180, which is 1080. Now for the B part, which is that work out the interior angle of a regular octagon. So we know that the octagon is regular, so all the angles are equal, which means that in an octagon there are 8 angles, so each angle is equal. So for example, if one angle is 50, then all will be 50. So how we will calculate what is the exact value of interior angle of a regular octagon? So we will do 1080 divided by 8. So what is that? The sum of all angles divided by the number of angles. So that is 135 degrees, and this is for 1 mark. Now the third question is calculate the size of angle A. Okay, so angle A is an exterior angle. And we know the property which needs to be applied here is that sum of all exterior angles equals 360 degrees. We know this already, right? And we have all the other exterior angles. So what we are going to do is 360 minus the sum of all other interior angles, and that would give us A. So what we will do is 360 minus those angles, which is 70. So the value of A is 70 degrees. Okay, moving to question number 4. ABCD is a trapezium, CDE is a straight line. Oh, nice. So there is this one property of trapezium, which is that one pair of sides are equal, like, sorry, not equal, they are parallel. And we can also see in the diagram that two arrows of that those parallel signs are shown. And what we have to do is simply look for corresponding angles, alternate angles, so that we can find the value of x and y. Because if we see down below this, there is work out the size of angle x and angle y. So in order to find angle x, what we are going to do is I can see that there is a Z forming, and we know that Z is formed when there are alternate angles. So X is actually 35 degrees because, like, as you can see in the diagram, that these are alternate angles, like a Z is forming. So X is 35 degrees. Now we know that X is 35 and angle CAD is 85 degrees. So now we have a triangle and we have to find the angle ADC. So how we'll do that? We'll simply subtract 85 plus 35 from 180 because the sum of all three angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So ADC would be 60 and then Y would be obviously angle on a straight line which is 180 degrees. So Y would be 180 minus 60 which is 120 degrees. So this question might look a little difficult, but trust me, it's not. This chapter is one of the easiest chapters in lower secondary stage 9 course. Okay, so now the fifth question. This question is a little tricky, so let's see how to solve this. The sides of this right angle triangle is 12 centimeter, 13 centimeter, and a centimeter. Show that a is an integer. So how we will do that? So we are going to apply Pythagoras theorem, which is that a square plus b square equals to c square. But you need to pay attention to the fact that c square is actually hypotenuse and ABC are all lengths, by the way. So 12 square plus a square would give us the square of hypotenuse length. So 12 square plus a square equals to 13 square. Now we will simply arrange this equation to get a. So a square would be 13 square minus 12 square, and then a would be under root 13 square minus 12 square, and that is 5. So 5 is an integer, so we have proved that a is an integer. It is important to show your working in this question because this question is of 2 marks, and I believe that in every question, you should show your working so that you avoid errors and you gain the maximum marks for your working at least. Even if your answer is wrong, even if your answer is wrong, for example, if the question is for 4 marks and your final answer is incorrect, but still you have your steps there, so you might be awarded 2 or 3 marks. But for example, if you don't have any steps, then you would be awarded no marks. So it's important to show your working. Okay, so question 6 is the floor of a room is a rectangle. The sides of the rectangle are 4.5 meter and 7.5 meter. Calculate the length of the diagonal of the rectangle, sorry. So again, we are going to apply Pythagoras theorem, which is that a square plus b square equals to c square. So this is simple, right? 4.5 square plus 7.5 square equals to c square. C is actually our diagonal, and we need to find its length. So under root 4.5 square plus 7.5 square equals to c. And so the value of C is 8.7464 sub, and like it was continuing. So we can simply round off it 8.75 or 8.746, like anything you want. Usually you have some instructions, and if you have, then follow those, or you can write both of these like 8.7464 or 8.75 meters. Okay, the next question. Leave your construction lines in your answer to this question. You must not use a protractor. The sides of a triangle are 6 centimeters, 7.5 centimeter, and 8.5 centimeter. Make an accurate drawing of the triangle. So you are not allowed to use a protractor. So what you're going to do is that you're going to use your compass and your scale, like obviously. First of all, you would mark the base. You can take off any length, like for example, say 7.5, 8.5, it doesn't matter. You measure one length you draw a line using your scale, and then using your compass, measure a length of 7.5 centimeter, for example, and draw arcs. Like one arc would be of 7.5 centimeter from one end of the baseline. Then use your compass and scale again to measure another length, which is, for example, of 8.5 centimeter if my base is of 6 centimeter. Then again, I'm going to draw an arc. And the point where these two arcs are intersecting is the apex point of my triangle. Then using a scale, you will join the ends and you will have the accurate drawing of the triangle. Then the B part says that draw the perpendicular bisector of the longest side. So obviously the longest side is 8.5 centimeter, right? And so from one end you will use a compass and approximately take a length of 5 centimeter. In the question of perpendicular bisector of like a side, what you have to do is that you have to take a length which is more than half of the side. So I'm taking 5, right? So if I am taking 5, then from one end I'll be making 5 centimeter arc from one end, top and below the line, and from the other end, I'll do the same. And then the point at which these two lines are intersecting, I'm going to draw a straight line. And that would be the perpendicular bisector of the longest side. Important tip in this one is that don't erase your arcs, because then how will the examiner know that you are not using a protractor? So it is really, really important that you show your arcs and that you use scale so that you avoid freehand, so that you avoid losing marks. Okay, so the eighth question is that leave your construction lines in your answer to this question. You must not use a protractor. Construct an angle of 22.5 degrees. Okay, so first of all, don't panic. This is a very easy question. You simply have to think, and it is very simple that if you can't use protractor, then what you can do is that you can make a 90-degree angle, like simply of two lines joining and making sure that the lines are not tilting or slanting anywhere. Make two lines, a 90-degree angle between them, and then bisect the angle. So half of 90 degrees is what? 45 degrees. Yeah, it is not 22.5 degrees, but the half of 45 degrees is 22.5 degrees. So what you have to do is bisect 45 degrees again, and then you would construct an angle of 22.5 degrees. Okay, so that brings us to the end of stage 9, end of unit test 5. I hope this video helped you understand the solutions and the correct methods. If it did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Cambridge Girl for more Cambridge exam help. I'll be uploading more paper solutions, tips, and revision videos for Cambridge students. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.